Playoff baseball is upon us. And so, of course, today we are talking about the 3 biggest choke jobs in playoff history. As a lifelong baseball fan, and more specifically a Brewers fan, I've experienced the agony of watching my team blow it in the playoffs. That pit in your stomach, the disbelief, the anger. We've all been there, so let's talk about it. The 2004 Yankees, the 1986 Red Sox, and the 2011 Rangers collapses each tell a story of teams on the brink of glory, only to have it slip away. And you know what? Let's grow this baseball community. Say hi down in the comments below. Now let's go. The 2004 American League Championship Series stands out as perhaps the most shocking collapse in baseball history. Turn your heads away, Yankees fans. The Yankees held a commanding 3-0 series lead over their arch rivals, the Boston Red Sox. In Game 4, the Yankees were 1 strike away from sweeping Boston and advancing to the World Series. The Red Sox and Yankees is the stuff of baseball legend, the rivalry for decades. These two teams battled not just for divisional supremacy, but for the very soul of the sport. The tension between Boston and New York reached new heights in the early 2000s, fueled by repeated postseason clashes and off-field drama. At the heart of this rivalry lay the infamous curse of the Bambino. When the Red Sox sold Babe Ruth to the Yankees in 1919, they set in motion an 86-year championship drought that haunted generations of Boston fans. The curse became a psychological burden weighing heavily on players and supporters alike. The 2003 ALCS served as a painful reminder of Boston's struggles. Aaron Boone's walk-off home run in Game 7 sent the Yankees to the World Series and left Red Sox fans devastated.
Leading by 3 as Boone hits it to deep left. That might send the Yankees to the World Series.
This heartbreak only intensified the desire for revenge in 2004. In the 2004 ALCS, the Yankees' dominance peaked with a record-setting 19-8 victory in Game 3, putting them up 3-0 in the series, leaving Boston fans in despair and New York dreaming of another World Series appearance. But baseball has a way of humbling even the mightiest teams. Game 4 would prove to be the pivotal moment that changed the course of the series and arguably baseball history itself. The Yankees held a 1-run lead in the 9th inning, just 3 outs away from completing the sweep. Enter Mariano Rivera, the most dominant closer in postseason history. The game and the series seemed all but over. But again, baseball's cruel unpredictability reared its head. Kevin Millar led off the inning with a walk, providing a glimmer of hope for the Red Sox. Manager Terry Francona made a crucial decision, sending in Dave Roberts to pinch run for Millar. What happened next would become one of the most iconic moments in baseball history. And it's because everyone and their mother and father and grandmother and grandfather, everyone in the world knew he was going to take off. With the count 1-1 on Bill Mueller, Roberts took off for second base, and his steal successful, putting him in scoring position and shifting the momentum of the game. Roberts later described the moment saying, "I was just trying to get in scoring position. I knew I had to go." Bill Mueller then delivered a clutch single against the greatest closer in MLB history, driving in Roberts and tying the game at 4-4. As the game moved into extra innings, the tension in Fenway Park reached a fever pitch. Shout out to that movie. Both teams battled through the 10th and 11th innings, neither able to break the deadlock. The Red Sox and their fans clung to the belief that they could extend the series, while the Yankees sought to finish what they had started. In the bottom of the 12th inning, David Ortiz, Big Papi, stepped up to the plate. With one mighty swing, he sent the ball soaring over the right field wall for a walk-off home run. Fenway Park exploded in celebration as Ortiz rounded the bases, sealing a 6-4 victory for the Red Sox. Boston would go on to win Game 5, but Game 6 brought us the now legendary Bloody Sock game. As the Red Sox prepared for the game, doubts swirled about Curt Schilling's ability to pitch. The ace right-hander was battling a torn tendon sheath in his right ankle, an injury that had hampered his performance earlier in the series. And with their season on the line, the Red Sox medical team devised an unconventional solution. In a makeshift procedure, team doctors sutured Schilling's tendon in place. They placed 3 sutures to stabilize the injured area, effectively creating a wall of tissue to prevent disruption of his pitching mechanics. As Schilling took the mound at Yankee Stadium, all eyes were on his ankle, and within innings, a red stain began to spread across his white sanitary sock. The blood seeping through was visual evidence of the sacrifice Schilling was making with every pitch. And despite the pain, Schilling persevered, delivering a gutsy performance that would go down in baseball history. Over 7 innings, Schilling battled both the Yankees lineup and his own body. He allowed only 1 run and silenced the doubters and energized his teammates. The Red Sox would go on to win 4-2, setting up the pivotal Game 7. The Yankees, despite their recent struggles, still carried the weight of history on their side. The Red Sox were riding a wave of momentum that seemed unstoppable. The game's turning point came early in the second inning. Johnny Damon, who had struggled earlier in the series, stepped up to the plate with the bases loaded, and with one swing, Damon launched a grand slam over the right field wall, silencing the Yankee Stadium crowd and giving the Red Sox a commanding 6-0 lead. But Damon's heroics didn't end there. He added a 2-run homer later in the game, finishing with 6 RBIs. Derek Lowe, starting on just 2 days rest, delivered a masterful performance for the Red Sox. He pitched 6 innings, allowing 1 hit and 1 run. The Yankees, meanwhile, saw their starting pitcher Kevin Brown exit after just 1.1 innings, having given up 5 runs. As the innings ticked by, the impossible began to feel inevitable. The Red Sox maintained their lead, and the Yankees couldn't mount a comeback. The final out came when Ruben Sierra grounded out to second base, sealing the Red Sox victory and completing the greatest comeback in playoff history. At least, that's how history remembers it. The Red Sox celebration on the field was a mix of joy and disbelief. They had done what no team had ever done before, overcoming a 3-0 series deficit to win in 7 games. The curse that had haunted the franchise for 86 years may have finally been broken. But on the flip side, was it the greatest comeback in the history of sports? Or was this possibly the greatest collapse in playoff history? And sorry to burst your bubble, Red Sox fans, but you were also on the opposite side of this. You knew it was coming. 1986. Let's go back, shall we, to before the Red Sox were champions. The 1986 World Series pitted the Boston Red Sox against the New York Mets this time around. The Red Sox, riding high on a season that saw Roger Clemens win both the Cy Young and MVP awards, were poised to end their 68-year championship drought at that point in time. As Game 6 unfolded at Shea Stadium, Boston fans dared to believe that their moment had finally arrived. With a 3-2 series lead and a 5-3 advantage in the 10th inning of Game 6, the Red Sox were just 1 out away from securing their first World Series title since 1918. The champagne was on ice, and the ghosts of past failures seemed ready to be exorcised. The Mets mounted an improbable comeback, tying the game and bringing Mookie Wilson to the plate. What happened next would etch itself into baseball lore forever. Wilson hit a routine ground ball towards first base, a play made countless of times throughout the season. But this was no ordinary moment. Bill Buckner, the Red Sox first baseman, was suffering from leg injuries that had plagued him throughout the series. As the ball rolled towards him, the entire baseball world held its breath, and in a split second that seemed to last an eternity, the ball skipped under Buckner's glove and through his legs. The Mets' Ray Knight scored from second base, securing an improbable 6-5 victory for New York. Red Sox manager John McNamara and his decision to keep Buckner in the game for the 10th inning, rather than replacing him with a defensive substitute, immediately came under intense scrutiny. Had Dave Stapleton, known for his superior defensive skills, been inserted into the game, would the outcome have been different? The psychological impact of Buckner's error was devastating. The Red Sox, shell-shocked from their Game 6 collapse, lost Game 7 8-5 and ultimately the series. The curse of the Bambino lived on, tightening its grip on the franchise and its long-suffering fans. In the immediate aftermath, Buckner became the face of the Red Sox failure. He received death threats and endured public mockery. That play became a symbol of the Red Sox postseason struggles, a tangible representation of the curse that seemed to haunt the franchise. For years, the Buckner play was replayed countless times, each viewing reopening old wounds for Boston fans. But as you know, the true turning point came in 2004 when the Red Sox finally broke that curse of the Bambino with their dramatic ALCS comeback against the Yankees and subsequent World Series victory. And finally, the 2011 World Series would etch itself into baseball lore not for its triumph, but for its torment. The Texas Rangers entered the 2011 World Series with a chip on their shoulder. After losing to the San Francisco Giants in the 2010 Fall Classic, they were determined to claim their first championship. The stage was set for redemption, and as the series against the St. Louis Cardinals progressed, it seemed the Rangers' moment had finally arrived. Game 6 of the series would become one of the most memorable in baseball history, but for all the wrong reasons if you're a Rangers fan. Texas held a 7-5 lead in the bottom of the 9th inning. They were just 3 outs away from clinching their first World Series title. The champagne ready to go, and the trophy was being polished. With 2 outs and 2 strikes, David Freese stepped up to the plate for the Cardinals. The Rangers were 1 strike away from glory. Freese connected with a pitch from Neftali Feliz, sending it soaring towards right field. Nelson Cruz, the Rangers outfielder, seemed to misjudge the ball's trajectory. It sailed over his head for a game-tying triple. The Rangers celebration was put on hold. The game ended up going into extra innings, and once again, the Rangers found themselves on the brink of victory. In the top of the 10th, Josh Hamilton blasted a 2-run homer, giving Texas a 9-7 lead. Surely, this would be the time they close it out, but the Cardinals refused to go quietly into the night. In the bottom of the 10th, with 2 outs and 2 strikes, the Rangers were once again 1 strike away from winning it all. Lance Berkman stepped up to the plate for St. Louis. You could feel the tension at Busch Stadium. Berkman then connected, driving in the tying run. The Cardinals cheated death once more, and the Rangers were left shell-shocked. The final blow came in the bottom of the 11th inning when David Freese, the hero of the 9th inning, launched a walk-off home run. The Cardinals had completed one of the most improbable comebacks in World Series history, and the Rangers were left to wonder how victory had slipped through their fingers not once, but twice.
Freese hits it in the air to center. We will see you tomorrow night.
Manager Ron Washington later reflected on the game, saying, "We were 1 strike away twice. You don't get that close and not have it affect you." The devastation of Game 6 carried over into Game 7, where a deflated Rangers team fell to the Cardinals, losing the series 4-3. Consider checking out more content right here. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.